Hello and welcome back to Colonies. Just look at my Messor colonies swarming over fruit flies. They absolutely love them. Today I'd like to show you how I culture fruit flies and prepare them as food for my Messor colonies. On the left you can see my current fruit fly culture, while the container on the right is being prepared for a new one. I've already added a small amount of lukewarm water. Warm water activates the yeast contained in the fruit fly medium. I pour the medium into the water and mix it thoroughly. The consistency is important. It shouldn't be too dry or too runny. It needs to be soft enough for the larvae to feed on, but firm enough to prevent the adult flies from drowning. Next, I add a few drops of apple cider vinegar and mix everything again. I've read that the vinegar helps slow down mold growth. Sometimes I also add a pinch of cinnamon, which helps reduce the smell, although the culture usually isn't very odorous anyway. Finally, I add a handful of wood shavings or any similar material that provides a surface for the larvae, pupa and adult flies. It's also a good idea to prepare the culture with clean hands, as you don't want to introduce mites. Using a funnel with a wide opening, I transfer some flies from the old culture into the new one. A gentle tap on the container makes the flies drop to the bottom, so they don't all gather on the lid when it's opened. you are starting your first culture, make sure you buy wingless fruit flies. Otherwise, you'll quickly find flies escaping every time you remove the lid. Around 20 flies are enough to start a new culture. I also write the starting date on the container so I know roughly when to expect the next generation. This particular culture was started on the 5th of May. Depending on the temperature, the first larvae usually appear after about 10 days. Here you can see the tiny white larvae moving on the sides of the container. About 3 days later, the first light brown pupae begin to appear. You can see them here. Then, around 17 or 18 days after starting the culture, the first adult flies emerge. This timeline applies to Drosophila hydei. Drosophila melanogassa develops a little faster. When it's time to harvest the flies, I use the funnel again to transfer them into a smaller clean container. Usually I get 4 or 5 harvests from a single culture. fruit flies are then placed in the freezer for at least 2 days. This greatly reduces the risk of introducing mites or diseases into the ant colonies. Now it's time to prepare the food. If you want to be extra cautious, you can briefly dip the frozen flies into boiling water. This should destroy any mite eggs that might theoretically survive freezing. I have to admit that I often skip this step. Boiling provides extra security, but it also slightly reduces the nutritional value of the flies. If you do boil them, just a few seconds is enough. Now I divide the fruit flies between my 3 Messor colonies. This portion is for the Messor angularis colony. This one for Messor capitatus. And this one for Messor barbarus. Let's see how they respond. As usual, the Messor angularis workers are the first to discover the food and quickly swarm over it. This is what the feeder looks like after only 15 minutes. Before carrying the flies into the nest, they usually spend some time feeding on them and drinking the hemolymph. The Messor capitatus colony behaves rather differently. At first, the workers are quite cautious. They inspect the flies for a while before eventually deciding to carry them into the nest. The Messor barbarus colony is growing rapidly and has a great appetite for protein, so they also gather around the fruit flies very quickly. Watching a Messor angularis worker carry a fruit fly into the nest never gets old. The only real disadvantage of fruit flies is that they don't consume every part of them. Wings in particular are left behind, so the outworld needs a good cleaning from time to time. That's all for today. Next time, I'll show you how I feed my small Camponotus herculeanus colony. Thanks for watching and see you next time on Crow Ants.